Hi, my name's...
Yeah, and also we can talk about West Ham sort of dreaming of being in the top four, but that top four now is so difficult to get into. I mean, it's so competitive. We have the clubs that we've called the Big Six for the last few years, but then you've got Newcastle, who look like they're going to be coming into it. You've got a very, very ambitious Aston Villa as well. I mean, that is tough. I mean, it takes serious investment. And we've seen West Ham spend a lot of money in the last few years, but not always spend it particularly well. I think from David Moyes' perspective, if you're going to lose Declan Rice, I'm not sure you want to lose your captain as well as your manager in the same summer. I think from West Ham's point of view, I'd almost be minded to think you keep David Moyes there just to almost see you through that first season without Declan Rice, and then maybe you get someone in at the end of next season if it's still not sort of going back to how it's been the last couple of years.
Jonathan Overham will keep us up to date with everything that's happening in that game between Brentford and West Ham. 5 minutes to go in the first leg of the Championship playoff semi-final. Lee Blakeman.
Coventry 0, Middlesbrough 0. Coventry on the attack here, but Middlesbrough with the answers once again defensively. Most of the game for the last 15 minutes or so, Steve, has been played in the Middlesbrough half. There have been calls for a red card for Borough's top scorer, Chuba Akpom. Late tackle on the Coventry defender, Kyle McFadzean. Referee Bobby Madley had a long look at it and gave Akpom a yellow in the end. As you say, just under 5 to play now. You cannot call this one, you really can't. Coventry 0, Middlesbrough 0.
Lee, thank you very much. As we've been telling you, 2:30, full commentary on 5 Sports Extra of Chelsea versus Manchester United in the Women's FA Cup final. And we have the team news. Vicky Sparks.
And Sam Kerr is back in the starting lineup for Chelsea, the player that has scored a brace in each of their last FA Cup final victories over the last 2 seasons. That's one of 3 changes for Emma Hayes' side as they look to win their 3rd FA Cup in a row and their 5th in total. Mara Mjelder is also in for Jess Carter, and Jessie Fleming comes in for Jelena Cankovic. One change, as expected, for Manchester United. Their captain, Katie Zellen, back from suspension, and in for Wildeboer Risa in midfield as Mark Skinner's team look to win Manchester United's first ever major trophy.
So the Women's Player of the Year, Sam Kerr, involved on 5 Sports Extra. The Men's Player of the Year, Erling Haaland, here on 5 Live as Everton face Manchester City at Goodison. With 15 minutes away from kick-off, here is Sean Dyche on the importance of having the home fans and the players in a supportive sync.
You know, I came with a lot of noise outside of the club or on the periphery of the club. I found a lot of really willing people who work within the club. A lot of Evertonians actually work in the club as well. The fans have been terrific, you know, even a few question marks when we had a little dip, but we've come out of that. And I think the fans are helping play their part in that. They've certainly a real energy to them. And I think we're trying to give them a team that can give them the truth of what they are, you know, and I think there's been signs of that. I still think there's more to come. There's a group that are connected, and we're trying to give that fan base the connection they need, the connection they want. And I think the team are working somewhat towards that, and we're trying to find that fantastic moment when the fans and the players join as one, if you like. And you know, it has to be earned. I said when I got it, I have to earn it as well, by the way, not just the players. I have to earn it as manager. And I stand by every one of them. You know, that was brought up recently about me standing by a player. I stand by every player, I stand by every staff member, I stand by every Evertonian. You know, it's all there for us to achieve over them 3 games, 2 at home, the energy of the crowd, the belief in what we're doing, and taking these challenges on. You know, next one's Man City, they don't come easy, but, you know, you've got to take every game on with an open mind. We did that when I first got it against Arsenal and got a big result there. We've got to go and do that again. You know, you have to work hard for what you get.
The Everton manager, Sean Dyche. We've got Adam Crafton from The Athletic and Kevin Campbell with us in studio on 5 Live's Premier League Sunday. Those are the sounds of Goodison Park, where we find correspondent John Murray and Leon Osman. Leon, I thought that was really interesting. Sean Dyche talking about finding the moment that unites the fans and the players. I wondered if maybe that moment had come at Brighton, because the difference between that and that incident in September at Bournemouth when the fans were throwing the players' shirts back at them, that's a total turnaround.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm sure he'll hope so. I mean, I'll tell you, 20 minutes into this game, whether that was actually the case or not. But, as I said, Evertonians have been very underwhelmed by performances at Goodison Park. Certainly the last couple against Newcastle and Fulham. Came to really get behind the team, watch the team fight it out and try and get the points, but, you know, didn't get anywhere near the victory. Same against Aston Villa as well. I'm sure Dyche will hope that he's found the answer to that, especially having Dominic Calvert-Lewin back. He had him against Arsenal here in his first game, and the team responded really well. The crowd were well behind the team, but Everton always do against the so-called top teams. When the big teams come here, it's such a difficult place for them to come and play football. The team are up for it, the crowd get right behind the team, it's hostile environment. Everton are suited to being without the ball, so it helps them play on the counter-attack. So that has always been the case, and you talk to players down the years, the players that have won things time after time, like Manchester City, they'll always say Goodison Park is one of the most difficult places to come. It's less so for the teams down the bottom for whatever reason. So I expect Everton to come out the traps quickly today. I expect the crowd to be right behind the team. I expect an appreciation from the crowd about what the team have done and how they've stepped up their game in the last 2 Premier League games as well. And I think that'll all be making the first 20 minutes of this game really intense for Manchester City. But they don't get scared by anything, this Manchester City team. They'll take the ball in difficult positions, they'll try and outpass and quiet this Everton crowd, and it should make for a really enjoyable game.
I've got to say, I think it's a bit on the nose for the Everton PA to be playing all together now, just as we're talking about the relationship between these fans.
That's just my phone, Steve.
Kevin, I suppose the difference between this game and Everton's last home game is there have been 2 away games since then. They showed a lot of promise at Leicester, and then they really cut loose at Brighton. So a lot has changed, as much as probably can change in the space of 2 matches.
Yeah, I think momentum. Everton's away form has been awful, and the last couple of games, Leicester was a massive game, and Brighton was a game where everybody thought, Everton going to go down there and get nothing. They turned the world upside down and won 5-1. But the key is your home form. The key is you've got to pick up points with your crowd behind you. And the 12th man will be right behind Everton today. What Everton can't do, Everton can't go passive. Everton have to be on the front foot. They have to obviously let Manchester City have the ball in certain areas, but when the opportunity comes to hunt them down and win the ball back and spring from there, they have to do that, and that will get the 12th man involved, and that will make life a lot difficult for Manchester City.
Slightly cruel text here on 85058. If Everton want an incentive to stay up, let them imagine an away day fixture in Plymouth on a Tuesday night in January. The UK's Ocean City? How dare you? That sounds like a great away trip, but it's certainly not one that Everton want to make. Adam, let's do the sums. So they've got today, they go to Wolves, they finish at home to Bournemouth, they're on 32, 1 above Leeds, 2 above Leicester, who have a game in hand. What do they need between now and the end of the season?
I think 4 minimum.
You reckon? So 36?
I would think so. I think so. I fancy Leeds to win 1 game. I'm not sure. Can't really rationalise it very much. Just sort of a feeling. And I think the important thing for Everton today is almost just to keep the fans with them, to give the fans something so that when it comes to that final game, they've got some sort of recent memory at Goodison Park of a positive atmosphere and really sort of being in a game. Make sure you're in the game today. Stay in that game as long as you can and give yourselves a chance. Let those fans go away from the stadium and the players and the manager go away feeling, even if you don't win the game, you don't draw the game, that you've got something that you're still building. Don't let the last few weeks feel like it's fallen away just before this last 2 games. So in some ways it's a free hit because no one expects them to get a result, but you don't want to sort of psychologically damage yourself as well.
No such thing. Free hit. No such thing when you're down there. Believe you me, there is no such thing as a free hit. Everton have to go into this game to try and get 3 points. That's it. You're at home. You're playing against the champions. This is where, you've got to roll your sleeves up and you've got to perform. It's that simple. Believe me, there are no free hits in football.
Here's one way to rationalise what Adam's just been saying. Leeds' next game is at West Ham United. So if West Ham are in a situation where they're going to be in a Europa Conference League final, David Moyes has made, 9 changes today. That's not going to be the strongest West Ham team that play in that game, depending on what happens to West Ham during the week. We've only got 7 minutes to kick off. It's obviously a huge game in the Premier League for both Everton and Manchester City. John Murray alongside Leon Osman inside Goodison Park. Adam Crafton and Kevin Campbell are still with us as well. I suppose, Leon, one other thing to say is there is losing and there's losing. You know, Manchester City are massive favourites to win this game. But actually, as we saw from Leeds the other day when they went to the Etihad, there is a way to lose and still come out feeling positive.
Yeah, of course. I mean, as Kevin rightly said, you know, despite you playing the team that's top of the league, you go at this game to try and get something. They did it against Arsenal and got the victory, and that has to be in the mindset for this Everton team and this Everton crowd. But, you know, just talking with the guys there's 4 goals in between Everton and Leeds at the moment. In the positive way for Everton, 1 point in it. You know, it wouldn't be unreasonable to suggest that they finish on the same points at the end of the season, and this game could then be crucial. You thought when Leeds went to Manchester City it might be a 3 or 4 goal margin, making that goal difference between the two clubs bigger, but it wasn't. Leeds hung on there and got a positive result, came out and took that momentum into the next game, but only lost by the 1 goal. If Everton were to lose by 3 or 4 goals here, and suddenly you're talking about a goal difference, then that's nothing. That could take a swing on either game. So yeah, there's an awful lot on this in every different aspect for Everton, and if they can go out and claim the victory, it'd be huge. If they can somehow get something, but yeah, if they were to lose the game, then you lose it well, and you lose it by keep going to the end, and any goal you can get is great. But you're playing against a Manchester City team that are going for the treble. They're a quality team. They could win it all this season, and I expect, even though they've made changes today, they're without doubt favourites to come away from this game with the 3 points.
I would love to know, and we might find out later, whether this is the team that Pep Guardiola always intended to play in this match, or whether he's influenced by what Everton did on Monday. Because coming here today, I wasn't sure if Rodri would start. Gundogan, certainly. I thought Gundogan might be on the bench. Diaz, Akanji, Walker. But they're all in the team. And this, I would say, is a stronger team than I thought it might have been today.
And after this, as far as the Premier League goes, they've got Chelsea at home, Brighton away and Brentford away. This Premier League title is not done yet. I've got Kevin Campbell literally dancing to my right-hand side as he listens to the Everton songs from Goodison Park. We're going to have to take you away from that from a second, though, because it's full-time at Coventry. Lee Blakeman.
Coventry 0, Middlesbrough 0, and as 0-0s go, this one was all right, tense and nervy as you'd expect. The better of the chances, though, went Middlesbrough's way. Coventry keeper Ben Wilson forcing a Chuba Akpom effort onto the crossbar in the first half. Akpom headed wide from 10 yards at the start of the second half. Isaiah Jones had a goal ruled out for offside in between. Coventry were restricted to shots from distance. Doyle, Hamer and Kelly all trying their luck, but it's all eyes on the Riverside now on Wednesday to try and find a winner, because at the end of the first leg, this championship playoff semi-final is level at Coventry 0, Middlesbrough 0.
And the winners, of course, will play either Sunderland or Luton. Sunderland winning their home leg 2-1 against Luton yesterday. Kevin Campbell, we'll look at this Manchester City team. John Murray's just talked about the strength of it. That will partially perhaps be reflective of the sudden vein of form that Everton have found, and understanding that this is a difficult game. But you look at it on paper, and it is just outstanding. Whether or not we'll find out today if they've still got 100% legs, I guess we'll wait and see. Yeah,
look, it's we know Pep Guardiola is very flexible with his team. We know he can virtually pick 2 teams, can't he? He doesn't tend to tinker too much with the defence, but in midfield he can make changes, and the players that are coming in are quality. But again, I've said it before, Everton, when you're at home, this is the moment where you got to stand up and you got to go for it, no matter who the opposition is. And you know the best thing? Football is never played on paper.
The great things about commentary games at Goodison Park is that there is literally a massive siren to tell you it's time to go over to the commentary team. Adam, thank you very much. Great to have you with us.
Thanks, Steve.
Kevin,
cheers,
brilliant
Kevin.
to have you on. Thank you
very much, Steve. Cheers.
Kevin Campbell and Adam Crafton, who've been with us on Premier League Sunday. Don't forget, at 4:30, full commentary of Arsenal versus Brighton. We've got the Women's FA Cup final. 2:30 kickoff on 5 Sports Extra, Chelsea versus Manchester United. We'll keep you bang up to date with Brentford, West Ham in the Premier League. But it's all eyes on Goodison, Everton and Manchester City, Leon Osman and John Murray.
I'm not sure you're going to be able to hear me. Out come the teams. What a big match feel there is to this. And it is the afternoon after the night before in Eurovision City. But I don't detect too many hangovers there, Leon.
No, not at all, John. I think that anyone who did go to the Eurovision probably went home early to make sure they got a good night's sleep to come and help support this team today. This is a huge game for both clubs with regards to the Premier League.
Well, they've got the banners out in the Howard Kendall Gladys Street end. A massive wide blue one with Everton written across the middle of it. Another blue one to the left with a laurel wreath on it marching down the Goodison Road. There's one in the middle as well with the Everton Toffee Girl on it. A big one in white with black writing, Gladys Street. And in the far corner, a blue one with all of the images of the league titles that Everton have won. 9 of them, which reads, "We are the Goodison Gang." Yeah, a reminder there that Everton have been league champions more often than Manchester City have. And the players shaking their hands across the halfway line. It's the penultimate home match of the season here at Goodison, and Everton back here after their shock win at Brighton, their biggest win of the season. So there is optimism here, Leon, after that.
Definitely, I think not many Evertonians, even those that back the team 1000%, would have thought Everton would go to Brighton and claim the 3 points in the manner that they did, and that's just given a bit of confidence, a bit more confidence that they can play the same way, that Manchester City coming here isn't necessarily something to be scared of anymore.
Sean Dyche in the match programme described the win at Brighton as pleasing. I thought that has to be one of the understatements of the season. But today, of course, they're up against Manchester City in the lime, the yellowy lime coloured shirts with the grey horizontal stripes, grey shorts, yellow socks, and the champions coming here in prime form. 21 matches unbeaten in all competitions. They've won their last 10 matches in the Premier League. But if there is ever a time to play them in this form, this has to be it, doesn't it, in between the Real Madrid matches?
Yeah, that'll be in the thoughts of the Everton players' minds, that hopefully for their circumstances that Manchester City are concentrating on that Real Madrid game. They just take their eye off the ball at a crucial moment, because Everton certainly need this victory, and that has to be the game plan, to get about this Manchester City team, make them run, make them jump, make them tackle, and really take the victory out of Everton's hands.
Everton just 1 point above the relegation zone. The little boys and girls are trotting off the pitch. The modern version of the Toffee Girl with her brown wicker basket just makes her way off. And Everton's team, Jordan Pickford, the captain, Patterson, Mina, Tarkovsky and Holgate, who's in for the injured Mikolenko, Garner and Gay with Doucouré centrally, Iwobi and McNeil wide, and Calvert-Lewin through the middle, who had a very good day at Brighton in the 5-1 win. And Manchester City stronger than I thought they might be. Ederson in goal, Walker, Akanji, Diaz and Laporte, Rodri, Mahrez, Alvarez, Gundogan and Foden, and then Erling Haaland up front, of course, the 51 goal man. I couldn't help wonder if Erling Haaland caught a glimpse of the Dixie Dean statue on the corner outside Goodison Park on the way in. Haaland in this great goal-scoring season. Dixie Dean, who produced the greatest goal-scoring season back in the 20s with his 63 goals. There goes the whistle. Anthony Taylor blowing it. Everton against Manchester City on 5 Live and BBC Sounds, and Manchester City getting the match underway and playing the ball all the way back to goalkeeper Ederson. And in the first half, Manchester City playing from right to left towards the Gladys Street end, the two-tiered Gladys Street end, with rows and rows of faces hoping that their team Everton are able to get something today against the champions and Premier League leaders. Crucial for Manchester City as well, of course, who are just 1 point ahead of Arsenal at the top of the table, and we have commentary on their match later. But City playing it into the Everton box, and it's cleared away by Garnack near the penalty spot, and then Iwobi sends it forward for the run of Doucouré, but that will be dealt with by Mahrez, who's able to pass it back to goalkeeper Ederson, who takes it down, controls it. Calvert-Lewin got as close as he could, but Ederson, such a confident touch, right side of the 6-yard box, took it on his left foot and then hit a curling pass out to Laporte. And Manchester City towards the halfway line. So 4 changes Pep Guardiola made from the Bernabeu on Wednesday night. So De Bruyne, Grealish, Bernardo Silva and Stones are the 4 who dropped out, but they're all there on the substitute bench. Ball played forward for Manchester City, and it's put out of play by McNeil for a throw into Manchester City. He just got a stoppage because Yerry Mina and Erling Haaland have been involved in something, Leon.
Yeah, they're just holding each other's shirts, grasping each other. I think we'll see that all afternoon long. It's the way Yerry Mina likes to play, and Erling Haaland certainly doesn't ever shy away from those kind of physical challenges. So I don't think it'll be the last time we're talking about those 2 players.
No, and taking a leaf out of the Antonio Rudiger book that we've been talking about since Wednesday night. I thought it was very interesting, the Real Madrid team last night. So Manchester City have made 4 changes. Carlo Ancelotti last night, they beat Getafe 1-0. He made 8 changes. Rudiger was an unused substitute. Big clue there. Benzema and Rodrigo were given the night off. So they were able to rest. But Pep Guardiola today clearly feeling that with Everton, this win behind them, had to name this team. Ball over the top for Haaland, but it bounces through to Pickford, who safely got it on the edge of the 6-yard box. So Everton 0, Manchester City 0. Leon Osman.
I don't think there's any surprise really with how these 2 teams are approaching this game. Manchester City dominating possession, Everton dropping away when they don't have the ball. I think it was interesting though that Manchester City kicked off, passed it all the way to Ederson, the goalkeeper, and I don't think one Everton player stepped over the halfway line. They just stayed in position, stayed deep in their own half, waited until Manchester City got possession. The moment Ederson gets it, everybody just drops away. Quite often Everton's best way of attacking the game is getting in people's faces, pressing really high, trying to win the ball back. Not against this Manchester City team.
Well drilled. Everton in the blue shirts, white shorts, white socks with the blue tops. Well drilled. They've had all week to prepare for this since the match on Monday, whereas of course Manchester City have been to Madrid and back. Here's Mahrez, plays it back into his own half, and then Diaz across to Laporte on the left hand side. Laporte's ball, that's got too much on it, and that runs through to Pickford, harmless. And Everton will happily accept that. Sean Dyche, white-shirted, down on the edge of the technical area, just a few yards away from Pep Guardiola. He might as well have his sleeves rolled up as the ball is sent forward from Pickford. Bounces off the shins of Calvert-Lewin, back to Doucouré. Now the ball through to Calvert-Lewin, but overhit by Doucouré and through to Ederson to pick up.
It was unfortunate for Everton. That's the difference between a Doucouré style player playing in that number 10 position and a cultured player like a Gundogan or a Phil Foden, who I'm looking at down below me. Doucouré's brilliant at joining the striker, getting beyond the ball, and those lovely, intricate, delicate passes aren't necessarily his strength. Opportunity that for Everton, something out of nothing, but opportunity gone.
4 minutes played, 0-0. And what's interesting here is, with John Stones on the bench, it's actually Akanji who is stepping forward into midfield alongside Rodri. I mean, he's back at left back at the moment, but that's another... Oh, as the ball's played back, Haaland could be in there. Pickford took a touch near the edge of the area, and actually Tarkowski did very well there. He sniffed the danger, Tarkowski. He knew the pass from the far side was short, the back pass, and he just eased into Haaland, which meant that Pickford was able to clear. Here come Everton down the left-hand side. Cross from Holgate, hits the defender, Walker, from McNeil, hits Walker, bounces behind. Might have been a handball, but is actually given as or has it been given as a free kick?
I think it's been given as a corner. And Everton won't really mind. I think Everton will feel they're quite stronger at set pieces, at corner kicks, especially when the centre halves of Yerry Mina and Tarkowski are attacking teams that are playing in a zonal way. You get the likes of Gundogan and Foden marking them, and then they attack over the shoulder of your Diaz's and your Laportes, and Everton don't mind that.
So Garner to take this, the former Manchester United youngster, into the near post, but Diaz is up to head it away. Back to Garner, who allows it to bounce in front of him. He's had injury problems this season, his first season at Everton. Here's McNeil, the top scorer for Everton this season, up to the edge of the area, but was crowded out by those yellowy shirts. Oh, poor clearance from Ederson, but Walker was alive to it, and then it bounces off to Toure, back to Ederson, who's able to go down, drop onto his side and gather the ball.
Yeah, be pleased to get away with that one there, Manchester City. Just a sloppy passing. You see how encouraged this Everton crowd are by the team pressing on the edge of the opposition's penalty area. That's why it's so often you see Everton getting success, pressing high up. When they do that, the crowd will really enjoy it. But again, now that that's over, they drop right back into their own half and towards their own penalty area.
Anyone listening to the commentary there might have thought that the crowd noise, did they nearly score? But they didn't really, but it was a sniff of a chance. It came to nothing, and now Mahrez down the right-hand side wins a free kick in the Everton left-back area. And this is one of the contests today. Mahrez against Holgate, who's come in at left-back. It's the first time he's played Holgate since he was sent off in the match at Crystal Palace last month, and he's fouled Mahrez. Only a free kick.
And that was one of his few starts this season, and sent off for 2 yellow cards, 2 tackles where the fullback or the winger skipped by him. And on the opposite side of the pitch, playing at left back today, up against an informed Mahrez. That is a duel that I expect Mahrez to win more often than not. Easily got past Holgate there, and Holgate's done well not to pick up a yellow card.
He has. That's a warning sign though for Everton. Free kick, as I say, in the left back position. Here it is, drilled in by Mahrez. Took a deflection at the near post, which ballooned it away over into the opposite side. Calvert-Lewin with a touch, so it's bounced out of play for a throw-in to Akanji for Manchester City. It's behind the famous pillar that holds up the roof. So Leon very helpfully pointed, because you could see round it, to
I think it was the fact Dominic was rubbing his head. Gave it away more than anything.
Here's Laporte as Manchester City go back to the centre circle. Kyle Walker back into Diaz again. Laporte now finds the pass to Foden on the left hand side. Foden clips it across. It's headed away from near the penalty spot. Calvert-Lewin then jumps for it. Middle of the half, Calvert-Lewin gets it down. Here's Iwobi now, receiving it from Calvert-Lewin. Iwobi's pass forward to Doucouré, but Walker came across. Excellent defending. Kyle Walker, still Doucouré was at him. The ball bounced away from him towards the dead ball line. Walker slid after it and just kept it from going for a corner. It's a throw-in to Everton.
Yeah, good from Everton. Dominic Calvert-Lewin doing what Everton have missed all season long, protecting the ball, holding it up, bringing Iwobi into the game, and Iwobi timed his pass to the run from Doucouré, which is becoming such a big factor in this Everton attack, brilliantly. And I think the fact it was Kyle Walker that was chasing him down was the only reason that Doucouré didn't manage to get an opportunity on goal there. Good counter-attack from Everton, but equally good defending by Kyle Walker.
Well, Doucouré got the early goal, didn't he, in the first minute, the very early goal against Brighton on Monday, and he's got 4 goals and 2 assists in his last 7 appearances, and in this match already he's broken forward the number 16 for Everton whenever he's had the opportunity. But it is still 0-0. Everton 0, Manchester City 0. And also underway, Brentford against West Ham, that is still 0-0. The other 2 o'clock kickoff, Arsenal Brighton commentary to come from 4:30, and they'll be underway before too long at Wembley in the FA Cup final between Chelsea and Manchester United. That match you can hear in full on Sports Extra. In fact, the build-up will be on air before too much very longer. I'll let you know. Here's Walker. I must say, Leon, I think Kyle Walker's been excellent since Pep Guardiola kind of suggested that he might not be able to play in this new system. I think Kyle Walker's really stepped up.
Again, you talk about man management. We're talking about how Sean Dyche is handling things. Pep Guardiola. Some players respond to criticism. Some players respond to an arm round. Some players respond to being told they can't do something. Well, you're right, Kyle Walker stepped his game up brilliantly since being told he couldn't do something.
Curling ball in towards the edge of the box. Mino is there for Everton. Comes out to Laporte. bouncing ball up to his chest, but he brings it down, gets it back from Akanji, who is in that midfield role right now. Akanji just outside the penalty area. So he's played central defence, he's played right back, he's played left back, now he's playing in midfield. What a good signing he's been, Akanji, for not ridiculous money by modern standards. Here's Laporte middle of the half to Foden on the left hand side. Foden, Iwobi comes in though, shoulder to shoulder, forces Foden to turn away to the left hand side, then Gundogan, Laporte to the edge of the area. Akanji couldn't get past Patterson on the edge of the box, and now Everton are able to take it away with Garner up towards Calvert-Lewin. Calvert-Lewin gets a touch, Diaz goes with him. Calvert-Lewin still in possession, a left-footed ball, there are blue shirts pouring forward. Doucouré takes it down, gives it back to McNeil, and then square towards the edge of the penalty area where it does break down.
3 wins, wouldn't you, at least, with Calvert-Lewin in the side. It's been the story of the season for Sean Dyche, for Frank Lampard's team, and the early stages of Sean Dyche's reign. Just scoring and hitting the back of the net.
Here's Yerry Mina, wearing bright orange boots, over the halfway line. Another neat turn from Calvert-Lewin to get away from Rodri. And again, he tries to feed the ball forward to Dwight McNeil. Ricocheted off a Manchester City player and kindly into the arms of Ederson, but he started brightly. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, 2 goals in his last 17 appearances.
Yeah, he's had an excellent start. I mean, his touch is spot on. I've not seen him give a ball away yet. And every time he does that, links up the play, it's a real bonus for Everton.
Sure, the Arsenal players, certainly the Arsenal fans, will have eyes on this game as they arrive at the Emirates. Brighton the visitors.
Mahrez is coming back from that outside right position to try and stop an Everton counter-attack. Dominic Calvert-Lewin in particular started this game really well, really good with his first touch and his hold-up play, bringing those Everton runners into the game.
It's Leon Osman, former Everton and England midfielder, with us here in the main stand, peering down on Foden in possession, who's playing it back to Akanji, who has dropped back into the left back position, but now brings it over the halfway line with his right foot across the surface of the Goodison Park pitch, finds Foden back centrally to Rodri, square from Rodri to Walker. Walker now down to the right hand side to Mahrez. McNeil is back there, but he plays it through now into the penalty area for Alvarez, who looks to pull it back, but it was blocked. The cut back, and Everton break with it on the left hand side. Doucouré is challenged by Mahrez, so he has to go back to the edge of his penalty area. The ball's played centrally to Iwobi. Everton have got to be careful here, but Garner is careful and just taps it back to Holgate, who returns it to goalkeeper Pickford, who clears out of play into the front row of the Bullens Road stand.
Yeah, better from Manchester City, that typical run we've seen from inside behind a fullback, nearly got them an opportunity, but Everton then getting the ball. And once that initial counter-attack doesn't work, Manchester City get back quite unsure with how to move the ball there. Mason Holgate in particular.
Foden this time down the left-hand side takes on Patterson. Patterson did well, the Scotsman, but in the challenge, and it's behind them. It's the first corner of the match to Manchester City from the left-hand side. So Patterson continuing. Of course, Seamus Coleman out for the rest of the season, Leon.
Yeah, he's had to be patient to get his opportunity to play for Sean Dyche. Patterson, but he's done okay so far. And again, we've talked about the battle at full-back versus Mahrez on the other side of the pitch. That battle, Foden v Patterson, should be a good one.
Yeah, Patterson, this is just his second start since January. Corner to Manchester City. Gundogan to Alvarez, curls it in, but onto the head of Calvert-Lewin, who unchallenged was able to hop into the air and head it. Tried to nod it out for a throw. It bounced out next to the corner flag. And I think City are suggesting that there's somebody down on the far side of the penalty area.
Yerry Mina.
Mina and now Laporte has reacted there. I don't know whether you saw that because the screen's kind of tucked away here, Leon. But Laporte, Mina was behind Laporte. He was obviously jostling him, and Laporte has turned and seemed to push out a hand and certainly struck Mina, who then went down. So this is very interesting.
Well, I told you that we wouldn't be the last time we were going to talk about Yerry Mina with regards to confrontations.
Did you see it?
I did. I think
he hit him on the wrist.
Yeah, I think Yerry Mina's got hold of him. I think he's just tried to knock his hand away. He's done it with a lot of force.
Yeah, he's sort of, as
he's pushed.
Now getting a clear view on it.
It's gone through Mina's hand and it's hit him in the midriff and on the thigh as well.
And Laporte turned around and sort of hit him on his wrist, on his left wrist, and Mina went down. I'm not sure it merited going down like that, getting almost a slap on the wrist. But VAR have had a look at that, and there was a decision to make there.
Yeah. I think there was obviously a decision to make when there's a coming together and a player goes down. But I think they made the right decision. I would have been very frustrated had a player been sent off for something as petty as that.
But he did react, Laporte, and there could have been action taken against him there. It was out for a throw then after the Calvert-Lewin header, and players back underway. Everton 0, Manchester City 0. Foden with it on the left-hand side, and Patterson forces him infield, and so Laporte goes round the outside, left-footed cross from him, curling to the back post. McNeil got his head to it. Mahrez now goes round McNeil. Lovely play. Left-footed cross to the back post. Laporte nods it back across. It's headed forward by Akanji. Inside the 6-yard box. Scrambled away by Garner for Everton, out for a throw.
Oh, brilliant from Mahrez on the far side of the pitch. The touch around McNeil just sucked him right in. Looked like he was slowing down. Flicked it around him. Unfortunately, he just put a bit too much on his cross towards the back post. Laporte, all he could do was help it back in. Same with Akanji. For some reason, Garner for Everton just ducked out the way as if he got a call, and it nearly allowed Gundogan to get an opportunity at goal.
I think a free kick must have been given in the middle of that, because Pickford's taking the kick from the middle of the penalty area, so referee Anthony Taylor must have spotted something there. However, Everton were able to clear, and we've had 17 minutes, Leon. Still Everton 0, Manchester City 0. City with the majority of the possession, as you would expect, but Everton, so far so good. As the ball's played over the top down the right-hand side, this is for Walker to chase. On the sprint, couldn't keep it in before he turned it across. Goal kick, Everton.
Well, I think nearly 20 minutes into the game, I think both managers will be pleased enough with the start their teams have done. Manchester City having the majority of possession inside the Everton half, and they know as a team, and Pep knows, that they just need to keep their patience in their play and keep moving it quickly, keep stretching the opposition, because such quality players, an opportunity or two will present themselves. Everton will be pleased because that opportunity hasn't looked like happening as yet, really. Not a clear-cut opportunity, and they have been a threat on the counter-attack at the other end, so pleasing 20 minutes in for both.
Everton 0, Manchester City 0 in this 2 o'clock kickoff. Still Brentford 0, West Ham 0 in West London, and here north of the city centre, where it was all happening over the course of the last week. It's a vibrant atmosphere. Manchester City fans, you can hear them at the moment with their eyes on the treble, but this a very, very important match. Manchester City with one match in hand on Arsenal at the moment, and 1 point ahead. Ball played forward towards the edge of the box. McNeil is there for Everton, and then Holgate just passes it away to the halfway line, but Calvert-Lewin hairs after that, but it is slid out of play by Diaz for a throw-in on the halfway line. And there is news from Brentford. Jonathan Overend.
Brentford take the lead against West Ham 1-0. Brian Mbeumo has scored it. It's his 7th league goal of the season, and it was simple, really. A counter-attack was started down the left, but they had an overload on the right, and when it found its way to Mbeumo, he was unmarked and had the simplest job of slotting it past Fabianski. Brentford 1, West Ham 0.
David Moyes, I'm sure, would love to have a win from that match to take to the second leg of the semi-final in the Netherlands on Thursday night. That's one of our midweek commentaries, live from Alkmaar, AZ, against West Ham Thursday night. We'll be in Milan again. Ian Dennis and Pat Nevin will be back in Milan for Inter against AC Milan on Tuesday night. And 5 Live is the place to listen to Manchester City Real Madrid on Wednesday evening. Don't miss that. Everton coming forward down the right-hand side, but Patterson's ball in field. It will be on the stretch, but with that stretch could just give possession back to the visitors. And Diaz now bringing it forward to his central defensive partner to his left today, Laporte. Akanji now on the left-hand side, back in field towards Laporte, Emerick Laporte. and then Rodri back into the centre circle. Everton again, just as Leon Osman was describing, Manchester City in possession. Everton have dropped right off them and are saying to this Manchester City team, find a way through if you can. Foden on the left hand side, Gundogan now on the left side of the box, but in comes the challenge from Idrissa Gueye, outstretched foot, deflected the cross behind for another corner.
Yeah, again that run from Gundogan this time in behind, and Everton full back ball out to Foden, played in behind for the runner. They have a real good ability to just raise the tempo of 2 passes consecutively and catch the opposition's defence out, Manchester City. They nearly did there. Corner Gueye had to come all the way across to make that challenge.
Alvarez with the corner then. The Argentine raises both of his arms down in that corner, and it's a right-footed in-swinger roll onto the roof of the net. Pickford came for it, but knew it was dropping over, and the delivery meant to whip it, didn't he? Just got too much on it, and it landed on the top of the netting and behind. Goal kick.
Yeah, Paul never really set it out far enough away from goal that it was going to trouble the goalkeeper. It was always going to drift over the top of Jordan Pickford's goal there. But the fact Manchester City have got 3 really tall centre halves, Kyle Walker, Rodri and Haaland as well, just put a delivery in there, something we can go and attack, try and score a goal from.
Still 0-0, Everton 0, Manchester City 0. I was at the Fulham match, which was their last away game in the Premier League, Manchester City, and it just has a little bit of a feel of that to it. It was a hard-fought win against Fulham. Remember, they got the early goal in that match, and here they are going to be difficult to break down, Everton, it would appear, on the evidence that we've seen so far. Remember, it was a 1-1 draw when the sides met, when Frank Lampard was still manager on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, a wonderful goal from Tamari Gray equalising, but the first goal in this game is crucial.
Yep.
Both teams know it.
Mahrez playing it in, a deep one to the back post, but Patterson was there shoulder to shoulder with Foden, and it was the Everton man who got his head to it to put it behind. It's another corner from the left hand side, the Manchester City left. So Alvarez has already had 1 goal, and that's it. It's going to be Gundogan this time after the last effort.
One and off.
That's
you
Manchester City.
Well, it just shows their standards. If you mess up one in that manner, you're off them. Don't stand on the edge of the box, son.
Gundogan takes it to the corner of the area. Alvarez, square from him. Mahrez on the edge of the D, gives it back to Alvarez, bounces to Gundogan, who chips it into the back post, and Pickford wasn't absolutely 100% sure of his bearings, backpedaling, and he actually reached out for the post behind him. I think at the point he knew it was over the top and sort of rattled the frame of the goal.
Yeah,
goal kick.
I think the last couple of steps he realised it was comfortably going over, but there was a moment where he had a stutter and backpedaled quickly, and Manchester City nearly worked something in a clever manner there. Mahrez on the edge of the penalty area, but Tarkowski came screaming out from his marking position to stop his shot.
Pickford, poor goal kick straight to his England teammate Foden. However, Foden's touch gave it back to Everton. Now here's Calvert-Lewin, brown hair tied up. Calvert-Lewin turns, tries to play the pass to Iwobi, but Akanji very quick. He is sharp as well, Akanji, as well as everything else. Comes back to McNeil centrally. McNeil forced away to the far side by Rodri, still going in possession of the ball. In his orange boots, McNeil then back to the halfway line to Tarkowski, and Tarkowski will pass it all the way back to Pickford. Who is 5 or 6 yards outside of his penalty area. And then Mina takes it on. Yerry Mina. To Garner, and then Garner closely watched by Gundogan. Oh, poor touch from Patterson, but then I think Garner might have been caught by Gundogan. He was. Referee Taylor just took his time there, blew the... whistle and gave the free kick Everton's way.
Yeah, I think it just about was, and it was fortunate, I think, from Everton. Opportunity. For Manchester City maybe to get in behind the Everton defence that was on the halfway line for a change. We haven't seen Everton this advance, trying to take possession of the ball.
Everton 0, Manchester City 0.
Not too many inside. Goodison are feeling relaxed. In fact, there's a nervous hush around this iconic old venue. As Gundogan carries the ball for City over the halfway line. Laporte knocks it back to Akanji in the left back position. I think he was caught by Idrissa Gueye, but the referee has allowed play to flow because City are still very much in possession. Akanji floats it over the head of Calvert-Lewin out to his right hand side, and Carl Walker. City have only dropped 4 points all season against teams in the bottom half of the table. They haven't, at the moment, been able to find a way past this very stubborn Everton defence. Iwobi forward to Calvert-Lewin. Diaz gets there ahead of the Everton forward. It's back now with Walker, who again comes in field and plays it to Edison, the goalkeeper. Diaz closed down by McNeil. The Everton fans enjoying their team's work rate. It goes back to Edison, and he launched it long upfield where Erling Haaland again is tussling with Mina. Haaland ends up on the deck, but no free kicks as Anthony Taylor had a good view of the incident.
Well, great work rate from Everton there, trying to put pressure on the ball just outside the Manchester City defence, and eventually Edison has to knock it long.
Just a bit overzealous there from Patterson, concedes a foul. Haven't got a record of how many touches the ball Erling Haaland has had so far in the opening half an hour, but I would suggest not many. In fact, we have now got a graphic that suggests it's one.
It's incredible. I mean, that's what he does. He just plays through the middle. No services yet.
Here's Walker. Might get some service now. Walker with a cross from the right, block behind for another corner. They've had 5 of those already, Manchester City. One touch. 31 minutes into the game.
That's amazing. They're crowding him out. Not just him, but all of that midfield central terrain is full of blue shirts. That's the shirts of Everton, closing down the space, working really, really hard.
Here comes Mahrez. Sean Dyche would be fuming if they unravelled at a set piece, Everton. Mahrez from the right, plays the ball to Foden on the edge of the area, gets the shot away. Pickford diving to his left, it was blocked by McNeil anyway. But Manchester City still have it, and the home fans urging their team to press higher up the field. They are at the moment, pen back Everton in and around their own 18-yard box. Here's Julian Alvarez. Deep ball in towards Haaland, but again it's over the head of the big Norwegian, the big blonde-haired giant, and cleared upfield, but not very far, by Dwight McNeil. Good spell of pressure this from Manchester City. Mahrez, right in the centre of the Everton half. That was a poor touch by Alvarez, and Calvert-Lewin with a chance to break here. He's going to have to go alone for the moment, and he's done really well there, just to run across Mahrez and make sure that he was caught, and wins his team a free kick.
Yeah, he does great, doesn't he? Picks up the ball, Everton win the ball back in midfield. James Garner it was, knocks the ball into Calvert-Lewin, who is surrounded by 4 Manchester City players there, and just takes that little nudge from Mahrez. Allows his team to get up the field, so a free kick around the halfway line. But still, Everton will be delighted with what's happened so far.
Free kick played forward. Looking for Tarkowski, who made a good run to the far post. Garner keeps it alive. His cross is blocked by Mahrez. Garner with a high ball back into the area. Decore up against Gundogan, and in the end it's Phil Foden who launches it long, and here's Alvarez springing in behind the Everton defence. He's got Dwight McNeil for company. McNeil did really well just to usher Alvarez away from goal, and then Gay picks the pocket of the Argentine, and he's back now with Jordan Pickford. That looked dangerous for a moment. Excellent defending once again by Everton. They're working really hard here, the home team.
Yeah, brilliant pace there shown from Dwight McNeil. Really was a great effort in getting back there, mopping it up. It was a big danger for Everton.
I spoke to Sean Dyche about Dwight McNeil after the game at Brighton on Monday, and he was surprised when he came into the club that McNeil was getting a lot of criticism over his lack of end product. He has scored 7 goals this season. Of course, he played under Sean Dyche at Burnley, so if anybody knows how to get the best out of Everton's £20 million summer signing, it's him. They've got 4 on 3 here. Garner over the halfway line into Calvert-Lewin. Calvert-Lewin knocked it through the legs of Aymeric Laporte, and Walker has to come across and close the door and concede a corner. Tell you what, this is a thrilling game.
It's a great game. Again, Everton getting the better of the central midfield area. James Garner this time threads the ball through to Calvert-Lewin, edge of the box. Kyle Walker has to dash over just to get in that interception.
Just a bit heavy, the touch from Calvert-Lewin.
Just a fraction. Just a fraction. It was a difficult ball to take. It was coming from him from the rear, having to open his body up slightly. But it's encouraging for Everton going forward.
There's another corner for the host. Tarkowski lurking at the far post. Mina is going to make a late run into the area. McNeil floats one forward. Tarkowski heads it down, and it's lifted over by Holgate. Huge chance for Everton. Maybe the knockdown fell slightly behind Mason Holgate, but that was almost perfection at a set piece from Sean Dyche's side, and he probably should have done better.
Definitely should have done better. Tarkowski is brilliant in the air when he's in for a challenge, because he tends to get the better of it, and he knocks the ball into space 1 metre out, just outside the left hand post. Holgate just needs to side-footed in, but he gets his feet in the muddle, can't decide what he's doing, and the ball goes skying over the bar.
Here's Foden down the left hand side for City, crossing into the middle. Tarkowski with a powerful header clear, picked up though by Rodri. Rodri shoots and forces a good save, low to his right by Pickford, because he would have seen that late, and he managed not only to make the stop but to cling on to the ball, Jordan Pickford, with Manchester City players lurking.
Yeah, decent save, one you'd expect him to make, but it looks like City at the moment are having to take these shots from outside the box because they're struggling to get any quality into Haaland. He's surrounded by big Yerry Mina and for Tarkowski. It's a bit frustrating for the big Norwegian at the moment.
9 minutes the first half to play. Everton 0, Manchester City 0. Brentford lead West Ham by 1-0 in the London derby at the G-Tech Community Stadium. That would see Brentford leap above Fulham into 9th in the table, 4 points behind Villa in 7th, so a European place probably looking unlikely for the Bees. Brighton play the first of their 3 games in hand over a lot of their European rivals. They go to Arsenal in the 4:30 kickoff UK time. At the moment, Arsenal will be very happy with the scoreline here on Merseyside. Mahrez finds Alvarez on the edge of the area. Cross towards the far post from Rodri. Well headed clear by Yerry Mina again. They can't get out, Everton. Walker shifts the play out to this near side, and Mahrez running at McNeil, crossing into the area, brought down brilliantly and steered in by İlkay Gündoğan. That is a fabulous goal, a captain's goal from Manchester City. The touch to pluck the cross from the air was sublime, and then he hooks it beyond Pickford into the bottom right hand corner. Is that the goal that takes Manchester City a giant stride closer to yet another Premier League title? Everton's resistance finally broken. It is Everton 0, Manchester City 1.
Well, it's a brilliant goal. You know, you cannot say anything other than that. The ball comes in from the right from Mahrez. One of those typical little crosses that he makes into the danger areas. Haaland's near it, but Gündoğan is closer. Gets the ball with his back to goal on his knee, 6 to 8 yards out from goal. The ball comes up off his knee and he hooks it into the bottom corner. It's a brilliant goal. So different to what we've seen so far going forward from Manchester City. I mean, that was pure quality.
Well, it's his 300th Manchester City appearance, İlkay Gündoğan. And he's really proved his goal scoring worth of late as well. 4 goals now in his last 6 in the Premier League. They've not been at their best, the champions. But as champions do, they've found a way to get themselves in front. And it just changes the whole dynamic now of the afternoon.
Well, it does. 8 minutes till half time. Everton having to concede again. They've been excellent in the first 37 minutes of the game. Then Gündoğan's not quite acrobatic but very clever hook of the ball into Pickford's bottom right hand corner. The keeper just can't get there. I think he gets a fingertip to it but can't keep it out.
Everton 0, Manchester City 1. City looking for a second before half time. Gündoğan into Haaland! 2-0! Haaland with the header! His 52nd goal of the season, and in the space of a couple of minutes, Manchester City have taken the game away from Everton. Haaland again on the home of the great Dixie Dean moves a step closer to the Everton legends record. It is Everton 0, Manchester City 2.
That's just the lethal side of this Manchester City team. It's just incredible way that they just step it up. Everton obviously a little bit rattled, a little bit shaken from going behind. All of a sudden, again Gündoğan, what an underrated footballer this lad is. Knocks a brilliant left-footed cross into the 6-yard box from the left there. And Haaland rises unopposed, gets in front of Holgate, and Pickford is scrambling to do anything with it. Incredible how the game has turned.
2 goals in 3 minutes. Everton 0, Manchester City 2. It's 36 Premier League goals in this incredible debut season for the freak that is Erling Haaland. I mean that with the greatest respect in the world. We've just never seen his like before.
Well, he couldn't miss though, could he? I mean, the quality of the cross was terrific. Haaland was seeing it all the way as it came to him and just had to hit the target. He was that close.
And as it stands, Manchester City going 4 points clear at the top of the table. Here's Doucouré though. Late challenge on Ghana. Referee plays a good advantage. Doucouré's cross is cleared away by Diaz. The offside flag has gone up. Now I wonder, should he pull it back for the free kick, Anthony Taylor? If the ball was played and Doucouré was already in an offside position, there was no advantage for Everton.
Well, that's true. I mean, that's the puzzle we have to try and understand the game these days, isn't it? You can look at most things 2 ways.
Just watching a replay of the goal, did Tarkowski just lose sight of Haaland for that split second?
I think it's the mental side of the game that Everton are reeling a little bit from that first goal where they've done so well for nearly 40 minutes of the game, and then that little lapse of of concentration, and the ball does fall quite kindly for Gundogan on the left hand side. It kind of comes off his knee and creates a crossing opportunity, but he doesn't waste that. The quality of what he puts into the box, Haaland couldn't miss.
4 minutes to go until half time. Well, we thought it might be damage limitation for Everton at the start of play. The longer it stayed at 0-0, maybe their ambitions would have grown, but I think it is now about protecting that goal difference that could be so important come the end of the season. They're a point clear as it stands of Leeds. They could be leapfrogged by Leicester should they spring a surprise and beat Liverpool tomorrow. Their final two fixtures do offer some hopes. Two teams already safe from relegation, Wolves away and then Bournemouth at home on the last day. Ironically, when Bournemouth were last relegated from the Premier League, their final match, their defining match, was at Goodison Park. I wonder if the Cherries might have some revenge on their mind. So many factors come into play at this business end of the season. But it's the Man City fans who are making themselves heard inside Goodison. Very solemn home supporters now, with those two goals in the space of 3 minutes, putting City surely on course for yet another victory, an 11th successive win in the Premier League. They've won their last 5 here at Goodison. They're unbeaten in the last 11 meetings, although it did finish 1-1 when these two met earlier in the season. Another off the ball incident there involving Yerry Mina and Haaland. Haaland goes down. It's a free kick for City.
Yeah, Everton feels like the stuffing's been knocked out of them a little bit. A couple of minutes till half time comes. Need to regroup. A new strategy for the second half, perhaps.
I wonder if Pep Guardiola might be tempted to take off Haaland at half time with his 2-goal lead intact, ahead of Real Madrid's second leg of the Champions League semi-final on Wednesday. Everton need to make sure they don't concede again before half time. Ball floated in, headed away by Tarkowski, picked up by Walker on the edge of the area. He volleys it goalwards and high over the bar and behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, it's hard to bear for Everton, really, that effort that they put in, the way that they were playing and creating chances. Not necessarily clear-cut chances, but at least they were worrying that Manchester City backline. And then that bit of quality from Ilkay Gundogan, sets Manchester City on their way, and then they capitalise with the Haaland goal. So very typical Manchester City.
90 seconds of the first half to play. Everton 0, Manchester City 2. Ederson, all in purple, away to our left, rolls the ball out to the edge of the area. And a second goal in the game at the G-Tech Community Stadium. We'll be back there very shortly. Remember, you can listen to that game via the TalkSport website. We've still got full commentary to come here on Premier League Live of Arsenal against Brighton. And that is a real high pressure game now for Arsenal. If they don't win and City go on and see out the victory here, as you would expect, then that probably is the title race over with a couple of games to play. You just can't see Manchester City losing any more than one of their final 3 of the season.
I think it just proves again, the kind of squad that you need to win the Premier League, and City are second to none really across Europe. I mean, if you compared this City squad to Real Madrid, for instance, City's is far better as a group than it is than Real Madrid currently have on their books.
Here's Akanji chipping the ball forward down the left hand side. Gundogan, who scored 1 goal, brilliant opener, and made the other for Haaland, finds Foden dancing away from Garner, crossing towards Haaland again, couldn't get his head on that one, but still manages to help it into the path of Mahrez to the edge of the box, and Rodri. Haaland went down and was looking hopefully towards the referee. Play continues for now. Here's Mahrez, he's got Walker on the overlap, Walker with a cross into the 6-yard box and scrambled away by Mina. Holgate then kicks Finnair as he looks to clear it away, and Everton are under real pressure in 2 added minutes at the end of the first half here. Mahrez back to Ruben Diaz. Now Rodri midway inside Everton territory. Out to the right he goes again. Mahrez. He's got Decore and McNeil for company. Just leaves it for Walker. Walker back towards Ruben Diaz again. And here's Akanji. And possession must be 80% at least in City's favour. Now Kyle Walker. Out to Mahrez on the near side as we look at Goodison Park. Into the final 45 seconds of time added on. City leading by 2 quick-fire goals to nil. 2 goals in the space of 3 minutes. After Everton had done so well to limit the visitors to that point. Here's Julian Alvarez. Up against McNeil. McNeil does well. The ball's out of play for a City throw. This will be the last meaningful action of the first half. It's not quite been Alvarez's afternoon so far.
Yeah, Guardiola likes him though. I mean, he's a World Cup winner after all, isn't he, Alvarez? But still finding his way at Manchester City. But given quite a lot of time on field, has to be said.
Scored 15 goals this season. Bearing in mind he's had to play second fiddle to Haaland for much of it. It's not a bad return. Won the World Cup in between as well. Here's Kyle Walker. 2 minutes of added time are up, and there is the half-time whistle. Well, for 37 minutes, Everton limited Manchester City to very few clear-cut opportunities. In fact, maybe Mason Holgate from close range should have put the visitors in front, but it all changed courtesy of a moment of individual brilliance from the City skipper Ilkay Gundogan, with a sublime piece of skill to flick the ball beyond Jordan Pickford and open the scoring. And then just a couple of minutes later, Erling Haaland nodding in his 52nd goal of the campaign. City going 4 points clear at the top. Half-time here. It is Everton 0, Manchester City 2. You're listening to Premier League Live.
Previously on White and Jordan.
Well, we didn't budget for this money. Surely we want to give it to our lesser cousins. Yes, and the moon's made of cheese, right?
Clash of the Simon.
The modern day fairy tale today in English football almost inevitably involves money.
There's no such thing as a no-score draw.
But this will be an exercise in goodwill. Something that the Premier League is bereft of.
How biased is Trevor? Sort it out. Seriously, sort it out.
White and Jordan.
The nation's primary destination for a triple distilled opinion and blistering debate.
Weekday mornings from 10 on the world-famous Talk Sport.
Times Radio.
I'm Mariella Frostrup. Join me as I talk to renowned guests about the worlds of culture, lifestyle and entertainment.
Including Sir Michael Palin.
Python's always been, I think, a nice mix. It's about human behaviour and what we do and how we sort of mess ourselves up.
And Werner Herzog.
When you look at family romance, it's a deeply humanistic film. It is a very essential of my films.
From auteurs to icons, artists to activists. Join me, Mariella Frostrup, for the radio show dedicated to exploring the ideas that shape our times.
Mariella Frostrup.
Monday to Thursday afternoons from 1
on Times Radio.
Stories of our times from the Times and the Sunday Times.
One agenda-setting story told in depth by experts.
I'm Manveen Rana.
I'm David Aronovich. Go beyond the headlines with original quality journalism and exclusive interviews.
What happens in the next year may define this country for the next 40 years.
We take you to the heart of the stories that matter. With exclusive access and reporting, you'll hear from the best and most informed journalists from the UK's most trusted newspaper. It's published for the start of your day, and you can listen for free on the Times Radio app or wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for Stories of Our Times.
John Pienaar at Drive, Monday to Thursday afternoon from 4 on Times Radio.
We're going to be talking about the news. We're going to be discussing it and explaining it.
Join John Pienaar for the Drive Time show dedicated to the news that matters and the views that need to be heard.
I'm going to give people the time and space to tell us what they think, and I'm not going to tell you what to think. I'm going to help you make up your mind.
Trusted news, insight and opinion that speaks for itself. John Pienaar at Drive,
4 to 7, Monday to Thursday
on Times Radio.
Hey
Hey, I'm Brian Dunseth from SiriusXM-FC. Every Monday, join Tom Rennie and me as we go all around the soccer world on our podcast, Week in the Tackle.
Enter our private circle.
From the significant...
There is a lot of reason to think they're going to win this tournament.
...to the absurd.
This little car comes on, like...
We cover the soccer stories we find interesting on Week in the Tackle. Available for free on Stitcher or your favorite podcast platform.
You are listening to Premier League Live. We've still got Arsenal against Brighton to come. Kick off there in around about an hour and 40 minutes time. Half time though in the 2 o'clock kickoffs at UK time. Everton were in it for long periods against Manchester City, but 2 quick fire goals surely have put the champions on course for an 11th successive Premier League win. And West Ham, well, they are behind at half time in a London derby as well. Here's how it sounded.
Into the feet of Jensen. He's got Mbeumo open. Mbeumo! A nightmare for Fabianski as it squirms under the West Ham goalkeeper. But West Ham gave it away and Brentford pounced on Brian Mbeumo. If Tony's not around, he is. He gets his 7th league goal of the season and Brentford lead 1-0 with 20 minutes on the clock. It's helped on by me! And then glanced in for 2. Johan Wissa just before half time. We saw a few minutes ago how a long throw-in can cause chaos in that West Ham back line. They almost scored then. This time they do, and Johan Wissa doubles Brentford's lead. Who needs Ivan Toney?
Mina is going to make a late run into the area. McNeil floats one forward. Tarkowski heads it down, and it's lifted over by Holgate. Huge chance for Everton.
Holgate just needs to safe-footed in, but he gets his feet in the muddle. Can't decide what he's doing, and the ball goes skying over the bar.
Walker shifts the play out to this near side, and Mahrez running, and McNeil crossing into the area, brought down brilliantly and steered in by İlkay Gündoğan. That is a fabulous goal, a captain's goal from Manchester City. The touch to pluck the cross from the air was sublime, and then he hooks it beyond Pickford into the bottom right hand corner.
The ball comes up off his knee and he hooks it into the bottom corner. It's a brilliant goal.
City looking for a second before half time. Gündoğan into Haaland! 2-0! Haaland with the header! Yeah, quite an incredible 3-minute spell for Manchester City. A wonderful individual goal from İlkay Gündoğan, their captain, and Erling Haaland, who's barely had a kick for much of the first half, does what he does best, 6 yards out, brilliantly nodding the ball beyond Pickford to double Manchester City's lead, and probably, Trevor Stephen, changing the whole complexity of Sean Dyche's half-time team talk.
Yeah, it was a bit of a killer blow, if you like, that second goal. I don't think Everton deserved to go behind it. In fact, they certainly didn't. When the goal went in from Gundogan after 37 minutes. Been a really great effort, I thought, from Everton in the way that they were set up, and confidence seemed to be flowing through the team. They didn't look like a relegation team, but now sitting at 2-0, when goal difference is all of a sudden becoming an issue, it's going to be a long 45 minutes, I feel, the second half.
Do you envisage a situation where maybe Pep Guardiola looks to take off the likes of Erling Haaland and resting him for Real Madrid on Wednesday?
I think Pep can do whatever he wants, really, because the squad is so strong. He will know exactly how fit his players are, if they're carrying any knocks at all. See, the Real Madrid game is huge for City, but they've got to get the job done at Goodison Park, and so far, certainly in the last 10 minutes prior to the half-time whistle, they took full control of the game.
Well, the omens are not good for Everton. Manchester City have lost only one of their last 57 Premier League matches in which they've scored the first goal. Everton, on the other hand, they always lose when they concede the first goal. They've only managed to come from behind once in 19 matches this season. But we said before the game, Trevor, that goal difference could be so important come the end of the season. As it is, Everton still 2 goals better off than Leeds, and they really need to keep it as tight as possible in the second half.
Well, they're doing it. It looked like they were doing a really good job. The setup of the team was great, but there's just that split second of lack of concentration, and found themselves under pressure with that Gundogan goal. When it is so vital. I said before the game started when we were chatting that it's about damage limitation. Because City are so good, they can turn an average performance into a really good one in a flash, and that's exactly what they've done. And then they can run away with the result. So Everton must avoid that, otherwise they're going to lose a point on the basis of goal difference.
Well, the Arsenal fans making their way to the Emirates will be well aware of what is happening at Goodison Park. They take on Brighton in a tricky looking fixture for Mikel Arteta's side. We can hear now from the Arsenal manager and his opposite number, the very animated Roberto De Zerbi.
For sure, and because they are a really complicated side, I think the way they are playing, while Roberto and the coaching staff they've done, is remarkable. It's just a joy to watch them play. What he's brought to the league, is a different idea and different challenge for managers as well. And this is what you want. We want to be the best league in the world. We need the best manager, the best players, and what he's done with the team after all the foundation, obviously, that Graham left at the club as well. It's incredible. So very tough match.
But I think it's not a more difficult Arsenal game than Everton. In Premier League, you have to play always every game at your best, giving your best, giving 100%. Your possibility, your ability, because I think with United 4 days before then Everton was a difficult game, very tough game, but we were different than Everton, and our improvement is in our head.
That was Mikel Arteta and Roberto De Zerbi looking ahead to Arsenal against Brighton. We'll have the team news from there in the next half an hour or so. I was at Brighton on Monday, Trevor. Roberto De Zerbi locked his players in the dressing room for a good 45-50 minutes after the game, and he said to me, we're going to look back on this game as a big moment in Brighton's history. He'll be wanting a response this afternoon.
Yeah, they were shell-shocked, weren't they, against Everton? It was so unexpected. And they dominated the game in large parts as well. But it was Everton who got the breakaway goal very, very early in the match. But the reaction wasn't great. I really like De Zerbi. I like the way that he goes about his business. He looks like he's not a man to be messed with. Very clear about how he wants his team to react to certain situations. Didn't see that on Monday. As you said, locked them in the dressing room until all the discussions were had, and now they're moving on. But it's a tough one at Arsenal, because Arsenal need to win today. They absolutely need to win. It's a bit of a cup final, isn't it?
And they're so good at home as well, Arsenal. But Brighton did beat them there in the League Cup earlier this season. Full commentary to come from that one after we've brought you the second half of Everton 0, Manchester City 2. You're listening to Premier League Live.
Got an unquenchable thirst for sport? Get up to speed with the day's biggest sports stories with the Talk Sport Hit. Crammed full of the latest team news, big match previews, and discussing the day's hottest topics.
An improvement week in, week out.
Plus, get all the latest results and full fan reaction to the biggest events in world sport.
It's a wonderful goal!
Satisfy your thirst for sports news with the Talk Sport Hit. Subscribe now on Acast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Previously on White and Jordan.
People are going to turn around and say this is all saccharine and sentiment.
I know about sentiment. What's saccharin?
Saccharin is a sweet way of looking at the world.
I thought it was a soluble aspirin.
Comments, conflict and confrontation.
By God, it was eventful to say the least of it.
You look at this and say, some celebrations are better than others.
Disagree to disagree.
Is it not a courtesy thing, though? Is it not a matter of courtesy?
Oh, yeah, because football's full of courtesy.
Are you serious?
I'm absolutely serious.
Jim White and Simon Jordan continues weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport. Talk Sport Breakfast, the only breakfast show worth getting up for. Talk Sport Breakfast with Laura Woods and Ali McCoy. Updated, upmarket, up with the lark.
What just happened there?
Talk Sport Breakfast, Monday to Wednesday morning from 6 on Talk Sport.
Mariella Meets on Times Radio. Listen to the podcast from Times Radio, where Mariella talks to a host of big names from the worlds of politics, entertainment, culture and the arts, including Dame Joan Collins.
A reporter said to me, what are you going to do if this all ends? And I said, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. One of the things you have to know about fame is it ain't gonna last.
Mariella Meets on Times Radio. Listen for free on the Times Radio app.
TalkSport Drive.
Weekday afternoons from 4 on TalkSport. Unrivaled, opinionated comment from the biggest names in sport.
Join me, Andy Goldstein, and TalkSport Team Drive.
A tower of sporting power in the afternoon.
Adrenaline-soaked, seat-swapping high-performance radio where horsepower meets goal power.
TalkSport Drive.
100% nationwide coverage.
Weekday afternoons from 4 on TalkSport.
The fastest football on the way home.
TalkSport Drive.
Hey, it's Brian Dunseth, former Olympian and current SiriusXM FC host. Do you need more than your average recap of the weekend in soccer?
Sorry, America, but it is the biggest sport in the world.
Well, look no further than Week in the Tackle. This podcast is all about stories we want you to know, from the most important on-the-field moments to the lighter side of the beautiful game.
You were jumping up and down like a lunatic. That's 7 beers before the game for you.
It's all on Week of the Tackle, available every Monday, wherever you stream your podcast or listen on the SXM app, included with most subscriptions.
You are listening to TalkSport's coverage of Everton against Manchester City from Goodison Park. I'm your host, Alex Crook. Alongside me, the former Everton winger, Trevor Steven. This is Premier League Live, where the players are just beginning to make their way back up the famous stairs from the tunnel here at Goodison Park. And it looks like Everton are going to make a half-time change. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is being replaced at half-time by Neil Maupay. We'll get Trevor Stevens' views on that in just a moment. The Toffees 2-0 down after Manchester City scored twice in 3 minutes. Ilkay Gundogan with a quite brilliant individual effort, and Erling Haaland heading in his 52nd goal of the season. As it stands, Manchester City 4 points clear of Arsenal, who play Brighton later on Premier League Live at the top of the table. Everton will remain 1 point and 1 place above the bottom three, although Leicester could leapfrog them if they somehow manage to beat Liverpool live on Premier League Live tomorrow. That's 8 o'clock kickoff UK time. And on Thursday night, Newcastle against Brighton at 7:30. Trevor Steven, Neil Maupay coming on for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. The worry, I guess, would be that Dominic Calvert-Lewin has picked up yet another injury, or could it just be that Sean Dyche realises this game is over and he's resting his injury-prone frontman?
Feels a bit like a concession, doesn't it? Because I don't think that Calvert-Lewin was showing any signs before the half-time whistle that he was carrying a knock, but he is going to be so vital for these last two fixtures that are coming up. Everton need him there, rather than running around exerting energy and potentially spending time on the field where he can get an injury and not being available. So I think there'll be more of that thinking in it than anything else. Neil Maupay has really found it difficult to get goal-scoring chances with Everton. Can't expect them to get any in the second half. Let's see how it pans out.
No goals in his last 25 matches for the Frenchman, signed for a relatively decent fee from Brighton at the start of the season. Shout out to Marty McGrath. He's cheering on the Toffees as he delivers flowers on Mother's Day in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. He's tweeted at TalkSport Live. The bad news for Everton is that Erling Haaland, having got himself back on the score sheet after a 2-game drought, is back out for the second half. No changes from the visitors. It's Everton in their blue jerseys, white shorts and white socks, shooting left to right, who will get us underway in the second half. They have Pickford in goal, Patterson, Mina, Tarkowski and Holgate across the back four. Garner and Gay in front of them. Iwobi, Decore and McNeil are in behind the half-time replacement. Neil Maupay up front for City as Everton get us underway. Ederson in goal, Walker, Diaz, Akanji and Laporte the back four. Rodri and the captain and goal scorer Gundogan in front of them. Mahrez, Alvarez and Foden behind Erling Haaland, who scored his 36th goal of this Premier League season to put City 2 in front. It's back with Pickford and he drives it long upfield. Maupay rising with Laporte, and there was a handball against Iwobi, and City have a free kick just outside the area.
Yeah, it's been good, Iwobi for Everton. Not so much during this game, he's just a little bit off it today. Does handle the ball there, a little loose about being positive and taking care of the ball, which is a bit of a shame. I think though that Sean Dyche would have been thinking about just isolating this 45 minutes and saying to his players, go out and play this half as a game and try and win it, or at least not lose it. And that would leave Everton in a decent position as far, at least, about this goal difference, which is becoming more and more important as the game.
Here's Mahrez though, cuts inside from the right. His pass is overhit, cleared away by Iwobi. He's got 7 assists this season, Alex Iwobi. To put that into perspective, the rest of his teammates have only got 16 combined. They have found goals hard to come by, particularly, as I've already mentioned, here at Goodison. Just 15 home goals all season. You wouldn't associate that with Everton. It's been such a fortress of the past, so important even at the end of last season when they survived under Frank Lampard.
I think that for the majority of the season, until Sean Dyche really came into the club, there's a lack of direction, a lack of confidence amongst the players. But they have been aligned by Sean Dyche, there's no question. I thought the first 37 minutes of this game, Everton did really well. But, you know, you're playing against a Man City team who are one of the best teams in the world. And they showed their quality in those moments that are absolutely key in games. Holgate had a moment for Everton but couldn't take it, whereas City, through Gundogan, takes theirs.
You look at the games that Manchester City have to play. Chelsea at home next Sunday. That isn't as difficult a fixture as maybe it would have looked at the start of the season. Brighton away, arguably their most tricky fixture, and then they go to Brentford on the last day of the season. Brentford 2-0 up at half time against West Ham. They are very much on course to complete the first part of what could be a historic treble. They play Manchester United in the FA Cup final at Wembley on June the 3rd, and they'll be hoping to have a Champions League final against either AC Milan or Inter a few days later. They play Real Madrid in the second leg of their semi on Wednesday, and Ghana's going to be booked here for Everton for bringing down Foden when he was in full flow on the edge of the area for a kick for City.
Bit of a desperate barge there from Ghana on Foden. City breaking forward, streaming forward. So just outside the penalty area, Ghana brings Foden down. Just it was looking extremely dangerous for Everton, but it's a dangerous position. I mean, this is probably a Gundogan kind of area to take a free kick from. Again, City not short on takers here, I would imagine.
Foden is down holding his right knee, and he does look in a lot of pain actually. That will be a cause for concern for Pep Guardiola as they compete on 3 fronts, as I've just been talking about. He's going to need a little bit of medical attention here, Phil Foden. The man they call the Stockport Iniesta. He scored here at Goodison Park in each of the last 2 seasons, Foden.
The barge from Ghana has moved Foden sort of sideways and just jarred his knee slightly. Still down there getting a little bit of treatment.
Just being helped back to his feet now by Ruben Diaz, his Manchester City teammate. This is a free kick in a promising position for a City side who've only dropped 5 points in their last 16 matches in the Premier League. Arsenal, over that same run of games, have dropped 17. That's how consistent this juggernaut that Pep Guardiola has assembled has been. And I think Ilkay Gundogan, having scored 1 goal, made the other in the first half, might be sizing up a shot here. Alvarez and Mahrez also over the ball. Phil Foden still feeling his left knee. 5 minutes into the second half. Is this an opportunity for City to absolutely rubber stamp the 3 points? It's 4 yards outside the area, just to the left of centre, so he could go either way here. Gundogan, who I think is the favourite. Alvarez has walked away. Mahrez, I think, is simply a decoy, although he's taking quite a purposeful run up now. Now it is Gundogan as expected, and it's into the top corner, and it's another peach of a goal for the Manchester City captain. Everton 0, Manchester City 3. So little backlift, but so perfect in terms of its placement.
Well, Gundogan is simply on fire. His free kick there was as delicate and as accurate as you could imagine. Lifted it over what is a very tall wall. The Everton team have fought pretty well giants in the wall, and it's cleared them comfortably, curled and dipped into the top corner. And Pickford, to be fair, is nowhere near it. It's a terrific strike. Terrible start for Everton second half. Man City just stepping on the gas.
5 goals in his last 6 Premier League games now. 4 in his last 2 for İlkay Gündoğan. It was enough to get Guardiola to his feet. A double fist pump from the Manchester City manager. Well, the points are in the bag already. They certainly are now. And Everton's goal difference is in danger of taking a bit of a battering this afternoon. They are now just 1 goal better than Leeds United, one of their relegation rivals, the team immediately below them in the league table. And there's a long, long way to go, Trevor Stephen.
Yeah, Everton now looking very much disconnected as far as a team, trying to gather their thoughts, but it's so early after that half-time break when they come out with a positive attitude, shooting towards the Gladys Street end, which is their favourite end. They've been nowhere near there so far in the second half. It's again a City dominating possession, and it really was a killer blow, that third goal.
Rodri into Alvarez, trying to find Haaland. Haaland taps it on for Gündoğan, who's now chasing a hat-trick, but Everton smuggle it clear, but it will come straight back again. They can't stem this bright yellow tide at the moment. Mahrez away from Holgate, and he's sived him down on the edge of the area. That should be another yellow card. Mason Holgate has looked like a fish out of water in that left-back position. That's a really poor challenge, I think. Got the wrong side and just brings him down. Yeah,
you've summed it up pretty spot on there, Crookie. He does look like a fish out of water. Mahrez is toying with him, dipping the shoulder one way, going the other, and Holgate is not capable of dealing with it. And he brings down Mahrez just outside the box, slightly wider, but on the right hand side, not the left hand side where the Gündoğan free kick came from. So we're now looking at Mahrez territory.
Everton 0, Manchester City 3. 54 minutes played here. It's another free kick just outside the area. This time I think Gündoğan is not going to go for goal. He's going to cross it in. Could Pickford have done better with a free kick?
Well, it depends. I think his view, I'd say the Everton wall was big, but there was also, I think, Rodri and Laporte next to the wall. So as far as vision is concerned, it would be very much limited.
Maybe Mahrez might go for goal from this one. Takes a deflection. Pickford wrong-footed, and it was Garner right in front of his own goal, having to clear it away.
Yeah, hearts and mouths again for Everton, and Garner was stretching to clear it from the far post.
It's going to be a corner. Manchester City 6th of the afternoon. İlkay Gündoğan comes across to take it in front of the travelling hordes. He's getting a warm ovation, the skipper. He's out of contract at the end of the season. They have to keep him, don't they?
Yeah, he's key, absolutely key to what they do. And a brilliant foil as well for De Bruyne when De Bruyne is on the field.
And they might be in the comfortable position of leaving De Bruyne on the bench this afternoon. The cross towards Haaland is overhit and behind for a goal kick. A reminder, Arsenal against Brighton still to come. Team news from there in around about 15 minutes time. Looks like Everton are going to make another change here. Idrissa Gueye is making his way off. 10 minutes into the second half. Mamadou Onana on for him, and Connor Cody is also coming on. So a double alteration from Sean Dyche.
Again, I think this is a tactical substitution. Looking forward to the games that are to come, rather than.
Well, Mason Holgate is replaced. So what happens now? Does Connor Cody play as a left back?
Well, they could go 3 in the back and play 5 across the middle.
Yeah, McNeil and Patterson maybe as wing backs, or even Iwobi. He's done that role, hasn't he? Try and get eyes on that in a moment. Everton's next games, I've mentioned, away from home against Wolverhampton Wanderers next Saturday. If they don't win that one, there'll be a very nervous feel of their final match of the season, that home game against Bournemouth on May the 28th.
Yeah. They're same place last year, had to beat Crystal Palace at home and managed to do so, albeit a the game before the last game.
Yeah, it didn't quite go that far, did it? I think it will this season. Walker, who's been imperious for Manchester City, runs it clear from the back, given away in midfield though. Garner forward to Neil Maupay, lacking confidence, doesn't take the shot on, plays it back to Decore when maybe he should have tested Edison. And here's Yerry Mina. That was a promising attack for Everton that they didn't make the most of.
Yeah, he had nothing to lose there. Just get a shot away on target. I mean, he's hardly touched the ball since he's been on, Neil Maupay, but it did just open up for that second, and he let that opportunity go.
Any goal that Everton can score now could be so crucial in terms of that goal difference come the final conclusion, the final reckoning. McNeil crosses over the head of everybody in blue and out for a throw-in. Cross from the left-hand side, he's gone out for a throw on this near right touch line. Sean Dyche applauding the effort. Tough, isn't it?
Yeah, it is very tough. I mean, there's very little that Sean Dyche can do at this moment in time other than keep his team thinking positively if possible. But the backs are to the wall for sure.
And they could well find themselves in a position where they are in the relegation zone going into that last game. If they don't beat Wolves, Leeds go to West Ham. West Ham pretty much safe and sizing up a European trophy. They're 2-0 down at Brentford this afternoon in the other game that got underway at the same time as we did. So nerve-wracking for those teams involved. And whatever way you look at it, Southampton have already gone. There's going to be at least one big club, if not two. Well, there will be two big clubs in the Championship next year joining Southampton. Leicester, recent Premier League winners. Leeds, former champions of England. Everton, former champions of England. So too Nottingham Forest, former European champions.
Yeah, I'm a traditionalist and I do like to see the big clubs in the top division, but it's going to be all changing, it looks like, for next season.
And that's credit, I guess, to the likes of Bournemouth and Fulham, who came up from the second tier last season. A lot of people thought they would go straight back down. Forest as well. I think only twice in Premier League history have all three newly promoted sides managed to survive, but that could well happen this season. Two of them are already safe. Corner for Everton. In towards Yerry Mina. Across the face of goal. Well, they're pleading for handball here, Everton. Tarkowski was convinced, so too the fans in the Gladys Street end of the ground. At the moment, play continues. McNeil on the edge of the area. Crossing. Headed away by Aymeric Laporte. Brought down by Decore on the edge of the box. Here is Patterson now. Cross into no man's land and Walker sweeps it clear. And now there might be a possible VAR review. Diaz, the potential offender. Could he get his arm out of the way? I'm not sure he could. And the VAR have decided no penalty. Here's Haaland into midfield. Foden released down the left hand side. Looks up, sees Haaland at the far post. Chance for four. Haaland, scissor kick. It was wide and it's cleared away by Cody.
Well, it was a lovely break from City, but Everton are going to be open to that. They're trying to push forward themselves, and Haaland involved a couple of times, certainly on the break itself. Foden knocks the ball to the far post and Haaland's there again, so hungry for goals. Just didn't quite connect with the flying volley attempt.
Half an hour to play. Everton 0, Manchester City 3. Only Southampton, who went down yesterday, have picked up fewer wins over the course of the season than Everton. 7 victories for 36 it will be. They've lost 9 home league games before today. It will be the first time, Trevor, in Everton's proud history they've lost 10 home matches in the same season.
Yeah, the fan base has got great expectations of their team, and it's a difficult place to be if you're not playing well, as Goodison. I think this Everton squad have found that out.
Iwobi into Maupay inside the area, but Laporte there to snaffle it clear. McNeil with a decent looking ball to the far post. Foden under pressure and Patterson nods it away. It's not a bad little spell this from Everton. They're trying to ask some questions. Finally the Manchester City defence is given away cheaply by Anana, and then passed straight back to Mina by Alvarez. Here's Garner, urged forward by the home fans, out to Patterson on the right, low crosses steered clear by Laporte. Everton have a throw, but it just shows you, even at 3-0 down, these Everton fans are still desperate to get behind their team.
Yeah, anything is possible. It's football after all, but you're trying to stretch the imagination somewhat to think that Everton can really get back into this game. And even when they do get into the wider positions, whether it's a Wolby down on the left hand side, and we saw Nathan Patterson in an advanced position in that last instance, there's nothing to aim at in there because there's only yellow shirts and little Neil Maupay who's in there.
Frimpong Kwame says, note to self, Captain Ilkay Gundogan in Fantasy Premier League in May. It does tend to come good, doesn't he, at the business end of the season. Gundogan, who can forget on the final day of last season he scored 2 goals against Aston Villa when they were behind Manchester City and in danger of not winning the league. He is the man for the big occasion. He scored twice and made the other this afternoon for Erling Haaland. Manchester City 3 goals for good on their travels. Patterson steers the ball in towards Doucouré on the edge of the area, bounces tamely away, and Akanji in the left back position has had his heels clipped by Doucouré. It's a stupid foul to concede. Just when Everton was starting to build up ahead of steam, City have a free kick down by their own left corner flag. Yeah,
the groans from the crowd tell you it all, because Doucouré had Akanji in a position when he could control, if he would position himself right. Akanji just turns away from him so easily and then is fouled by Doucouré. The pressure's off for City and the game goes again. City push forward, in control of the ball, lots of possession, lots of options on the ball, and Everton really chasing around trying to get it back.
Everton 0, Manchester City 3. And still 27 minutes plus stoppage time. Akanji over the halfway line for City. Still no sign at this stage of Haaland being rested for Wednesday night. He's in the centre, awaiting the cross from Foden, which is well blocked by Patterson. And ricochets out off Foden for a goal kick for Everton. Phil Foden hoping to get a full 90 minutes under his belt.
It's a great opportunity for the City players just to sharpen their pencils somewhat as far as tuning themselves in for the Real Madrid game this week coming, which is a huge game for them. And now they're so in control. I have to say, when I look back at the days that I played, when you ever got into a position where you're maybe 3 goals up, it's a pure joy just to play the game. You're not under pressure, you're controlling the pace of the match, and you're really enjoying your football in situations like this, and that's what City are doing at the moment.
Here's Iwobi playing the ball back to Garner on the edge of the Everton area. Now Yerry Mina. Garner floats the ball out for the left hand side and finds Dwight McNeil. If they could get a goal back here, Everton, it would make the scoreline that much more respectable and help their goal difference situation. As Nathan Patterson pokes the ball back to Mina.
Well, the thing is with Everton, the confidence that may be lost in a game like this, a goal back or shutting shop would certainly add or keep confidence.
McNeil with the cross-come shot on the edge of the area, which is blocked by Diaz and loops behind for a corner. This is where Everton have to make their aerial prowess tell. Nana with a move to Manchester United. Or so is forward. So too Tarkowski and Mina. Swung in towards Ederson. He punches it away under pressure from Tarkowski. It's behind, I think, for another corner, is it?
I didn't see any infringement there as Ederson went to the back post to try and meet this long cross, corner kick into the far post. He really mistimed it, no connection with any Everton player for sure.
It's a definite tactic from these set pieces, try and swing it as close to the keeper as possible. McNeil in there, tipped over the crossbar, the header from Tarkowski. It's a good save from Ederson. He was sneaking in, I think.
Certainly dangerous from corner kicks, from set pieces. Tarkowski can't just quite keep it down sufficiently.
And it's right down the centre as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to hit the crossbar. I'm not quite sure if Ederson got a touch on that or not, but it looked like his hand was almost behind the goalpost.
And the corner's been given. It's Everton's 7th corner to City's 6th. McNeil again floats it in, and again it's a good delivery, and headed down into the ground and over the bar. Yerry Mina arriving late at the far post. Another chance for Everton to reduce the deficit.
Yeah, they're almost getting in each other's way. Yerry Mina and Onana and Doucouré still can't get it on target. Heads it down into the ground, literally lands a metre from goal and bounces over the crossbar.
Ruben Diaz appealing that there was an infringement. Referee is uninterested in those appeals.
Certainly got a bit of a weapon for Everton. You know, if the corners are struck in, they have been struck into good position. With the big players to attack far post.
I guess just looking at that Wolves fixture next Saturday, Wolves safe from relegation, beaten at Manchester United yesterday, but it's their final home game of the season. That's not easy, is it, for a visiting side? Teams will want to go out on a high.
Well, I don't think it's an easy 90 minutes in the Premier League. I think it's a tough league.
Maybe Southampton.
Yeah, probably that's, you know, they've just fallen by the wayside. Southampton lost direction as a football club. But Wolves have had a decent season under Lopetegui when he came in. They have stopped the rot, built a little, started to play some football again. But there's no easy 90 minutes. But I think Sean Dyche is certainly looking to those games to come. Wolves and Bournemouth is what's key now. What's really important is having his best players available for that game.
They have had more attempts on goal than City in this second half. 5-3 Everton, but the free kick from Gundogan, the one that really matters to put City 3 to the good. Gundogan and Haaland having put them into a commanding 2-0 advantage at the break. There are 21 minutes to play.
They've been clinical, haven't they, Manchester City? It's just when the moment has arisen, they've taken their chances.
Here is Phil Foden keeping the ball in play on the near side. Plays it to the halfway line, and Henrik Laporte. Now Gundogan. Foden continued his run. Gundogan not quite in the same wavelength. The ball is behind for a goal kick. He just looks a little bit rusty, doesn't he, Phil Foden, after that injury or the appendix surgery.
Yeah, and you know, he's playing out on the left hand side, and he does get remote there and isolated sometimes, I feel, as far as the game is concerned, because he's got so much ability. He could move inside, supporting him.
Ironic olays from the Everton fans. And they haven't folded after that third goal. And have carried a threat themselves, but a poor touch from Doucouré. He had players to his left and right, but couldn't bring it under control. It's back now with Ederson. And here's Akanji playing it to Rodri just outside the area. 3-0 City lead. One back by Doucouré. He did well. Needs a bit of support now, though. Frustrations from the Everton fans that he didn't try and get the ball forward. Here's Onana, 5 yards inside his own half. Out to the left of McNeil. Yerry Mina, the big Colombian central defender, just helps the ball on to Connor Cody. It has been a back three since Cody came on, of Mina to the right, Tarkowski in the centre and Cody to the left, with McNeil the left wing back and Patterson the right wing back. More goals.
I think City are conserving energy a little bit as well. They're not really rushing off the feet to go and win the ball back and just let Everton make a mistake, poor pass, and they'll pick the ball up again. So it's not as if they have to go chasing City.
Team news in from the late kick-off Arsenal against Brighton. No Zinchenko and no William Saliba once again for Arsenal, both sidelined for the rest of the season. Aaron Ramsdale, the goalkeeper, White and Tierney, the fullbacks, with Gabriel and Jakob Kivior, the pole, at the heart of their defence. You look into midfield, Jorginho and Granit Xhaka are the holding players. And then you've got Martin Ødegaard, Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli in behind Gabriel Jesus. For Brighton, Jason Steele, the goalkeeper. Lewis Duncan, Levi Colwell, the two centre-backs. Pascal Gross at right-back. Purvis Estupiñán will be the left-back. Billy Gilmore in midfield alongside Moises Caicedo, McAllister and Cesar Mitoma in behind young Evan Ferguson up front, and Danny Welbeck only on the bench against his former club. Commentary to come from 4:30. Everton 0, Manchester City 3. Here at Goodison. Pressure firmly on Arsenal to make sure that the gap is just 1 point by the close of play this evening and not 4. Brighton could be a tricky opponent, having already won there in the Carabao Cup earlier this season. And themselves, you see it going?
Well, I think that Brighton, have got a fantastic opportunity. Obviously, it's tough going to Arsenal, who have set their sights on winning the Premier League. But Brighton are, quoted often, aren't they, about being the way that a medium-sized club can be built now, and their recruitment has been incredible. This is an incredible season for them, what they've achieved.
Here's Akanji, floats the ball towards the far side, but over the head of both Mahrez and Haaland, who are lurking the far post. An apologetic arm in the air from Akanji. Pep Guardiola already, I'm sure, will be thinking about that huge Champions League semi-final second leg against Real Madrid on Wednesday. They've only conceded 14 goals away from home this season. Manchester City, the best of any of the 20 Premier League sides, and they've won 8 of their last 11 on the road. That will soon be 9 from 12. Remaining games for them, as I've mentioned already: Chelsea at home next Sunday, then they go to Brighton Wednesday week. That could be their crowning glory. If not, it will be Brentford away on the last day of the season. Can Everton get a goal and set us up for a grandstand finish? Here's Dwight McNeil over the halfway line, forward to Iwobi. Decore has burst forward, but Iwobi opts instead to play it back to McNeil. He's got his work cut out against Kyle Walker. Walker had a brilliant game, didn't he, against Vinicius Junior in the Bernabeu. Still such an integral part of this Manchester City setup. Gundogan releasing Mahrez down the right. Haaland's made a run in the centre, and Tarkowski just about gets there ahead of him. Then Haaland goes down under a challenge from Pickford. He's looking for a penalty. Anthony Taylor not minded to give it.
Now, Haaland just stopped in front of Pickford, really ignored the ball and just waited for the collision, so he was never going to get that as a free kick or a penalty kick.
Well, Pep Guardiola is asking the question of the fourth official, Darren England, but it would have been very harsh. I think City are readying a change. You can see, though, it just comes alive, doesn't he, Erling Haaland? As soon as he gets a sniff of goal, as soon as Mahrez picked up possession, he was bursting in behind Tarkowski. James Garner is the latest Everton player to make way. And Damari Gray is going to come on in his place and inject some pace to the attack. Garner having been booked as well, maybe a factor in that decision. Haaland still asking questions of the referee, but he was looking for the contact, no question about that. In the Women's FA Cup final, by the way, Chelsea 0, Manchester United 0 at Wembley. Damari Gray scored in the 1-1 draw between these two at the Etihad. That was a bit of a smash and grab raid from Everton on New Year's Eve. That was the last
what he does off the ball rather than on the ball. Damari Gray, one of the most skillful players that Everton have, but out of possession not quite as strong as others that Sean Dyche can pick.
City have got Bernardo Silva and I think Jack Grealish ready to come on. Not a bad couple of subs at this stage of the game. 14 minutes to play, leading 3-0 away from home. Everton have been decent since conceding that third goal. Decore into Damari Gray. Patterson bursting forward. Gray making his way towards the area, but City have got plenty of yellow shirts back behind the ball. Here's Onana now, the tall and gangly Belgian midfielder. He plays it across the box to McNeil. Now Iwobi. But without Calvert-Lewin, they lack a bit of a focal point. Iwobi does put the ball into the area, and Mope helped it on. Wouldn't quite come for Onana, and it's swept clear by Akanji.
There's a hesitancy about Everton when they're getting the ball wide now. Is who do we why put the ball in? Because we don't have anyone to aim at. So just hold on to the ball a little bit too long, and any opportunity that might have been is closed down as City adjust their defensive positions.
Looks like Ilkay Gundogan is going to get the last 15 minutes off here. Passes the captain's armband on to Kyle Walker, scorer of 2 of City's 3 goals, creator of the other. And Erling Haaland will not get any opportunities to add to his 52 goals that he scored this season. He is replaced by Jack Grealish. So the 2 goal scorers making way and just being put in cold storage. Trevor Steven ahead of that Real Madrid game on Wednesday.
Without a doubt, this is all about the next fixture, massive fixture, Real Madrid. Champions League progression depends on that. Everton have got a different challenge. It's about keeping players fit for the slog, which will be the last 2 games.
Yeah. Tense end to the season for them. Could be a trophy-laden end to the season for Manchester City, competing on 3 fronts, and it's going to be 22 games unbeaten in all competitions, barring something completely extraordinary in the last 12 minutes. Don't see it happening. Even the most optimistic Evertonian, I think, knows that their race is run this afternoon.
I think most Everton fans would just take it as it is now and try and take care of the goal difference so it doesn't deteriorate in this last 12 minutes.
Edison thinks it forward over the head of Conor Cody, picked up by Yerry Mina. It's one of those afternoons as well where if you're an Everton player you don't want to see too many added minutes at the end of the 90. Just get back to the sanctuary, the dressing room, and start to plan for that game at Wolves in 6 days' time. Picked by Damari Gray, but wins a throw, making his 150th Premier League appearance off the bench. Jack Grealish, 5 goals and 7 assists in the league this season. It's great to see his interview down on the pitch at the Bernabeu in midweek. It was just like a schoolboy achieving a dream. And he has improved in his second season compared to last year.
He's now a first choice. I think given all things in consideration, Grealish is now part of that first 11. If you can pick that first 11, which is not easy at City, but he's certainly convinced Guardiola now that you can do a job that Guardiola wants doing and do it well. And do it regularly as well. I think his consistency is with Manchester City players.
City effectively 5 points clear of Arsenal with a far superior goal difference they have. Arsenal with a chance to reduce that gap when they take on Brighton in under an hour's time at the Emirates. Here's Edison, the goalkeeper. Has the ball inside his penalty area. He's had to make that one save from Tarkowski header. Apart from that, it's been a relatively comfortable deadlock on 37 minutes. Gundogan providing the cross for Haaland to head the second. 3 minutes later, and then Gundogan with a brilliant free kick into the top corner early in the second half. putting City into this 3-0 lead.
Like 3 knockout punches, weren't they? And really against the flow of play, if you want, as far as comfort in the game was concerned. Everton were comfortable and creating 1 or 2 things themselves and looked like a team. It was probably mid-table, but now you look what they are. They're a team that's struggling to be effective against the better teams in the league.
Especially here at home, as we've mentioned, where we're looking to follow up that victory at Brighton, but only once all season. They won back-to-back games. That's why they're still looking nervously over their shoulders. Pep Guardiola is still very animated over on the far side. He is the manager who always strives for perfection. Certainly no letting up from City in the final 8 minutes of this game. Connor Cody in the orange boots chips the ball out of the penalty area to Patterson on this right hand side. Now Mina. Here's Patterson again. Certainly had a lot more possession, Everton, this second half, but that's partly because City have been content to drop deep and just take any opportunities to use their blistering speed on the counter.
Yeah, it's job done for Guardiola's team, and preparations have already begun for the Real Madrid game. We know that, we can see that. Sean Dyche as well has got to think what's the best for Everton, how to approach Wolves away and Bournemouth at home.
One win.
Such a lot rests on it. And only 2 kilometres from Goodison Park is the new build, the new stadium, which is due to be opened the season after next. And of course that is meant to be the grand rebirth of Everton as a club going forward, but it'll be hugely disappointing and a great blow to everyone connected with the club should they go down.
We've seen, haven't we, that even the biggest of teams, when they drop into the second tier, it's not always guaranteed they come straight back. Took Leeds United a long time to regain top flight status. Here is Rodri for Manchester City moving forward, tries to play the ball out to Grealish on the left. It's tamely in the end behind for a goal kick. And with Everton's financial issues, it would be catastrophic potentially dropping into the Championship, particularly with work, as you say, well underway on that brand spanking new stadium. Here's Damari Gray, but he's caught in possession by Laporte. We are top of the league, seeing the Manchester City fans 4 points clear of Arsenal, with goals on their side as well.
So I heard an interesting saw an interesting thing in the media and releases from Everton only a week or 10 days ago, that season ticket sales are actually better for next season than they have been for this.
Really?
They've increased the season tickets. I don't know if that's with a view to people wanting certain seats in the new stadium.
Yeah, potentially. You do get more games in the Championship, don't you? More bang for your buck.
Yeah, I suppose so. I don't know. I don't think that's a benefit. I really don't.
Just trying to cheer up those Evertonians listening around the globe. Here's Dwight McNeil. Remember, they aren't in the relegation zone as it stands, but it's going to chop and change between now and the end of the month. Final day of the season, which is shaping up to be quite a nail-biting and dramatic one. Here is Damari Gray again, forward to Anana, 10 yards outside the box. Any Everton goal now would only be a consolation, but it would help in terms of that goal difference, as the City fans serenade their players. And there are quite a few empty seats in the home sections now around Goodison Park. As the ball is thrust out this right hand side, Patterson trying to take on a Kanji, has to settle for a corner, but they have looked dangerous from these set pieces.
And the Goodison fans getting behind Nathan Patterson, still prepared to do the running, wins his team a corner.
I'm sure I'd have taken it short given the success they've had putting balls into the box from box, and Tarkovsky gets it back from Iwobi. Here's McNeil, skips away from one challenge, pulls it back into the area, stabbed clear by Diaz. The Corres want it back inside the City box. But they've defended well at times when they've had to. Foden clears it upfield. Now Iwobi for Everton. Still trying to get themselves on the score sheet. Anana gliding away from Bernardo Silva.
I feel like Everton are trying to finish this game on a high. You know, whatever that looks like. If it's a goal, fantastic. But at least going forward, trying to keep the ball good in possession and try and be positive.
Neil's cross all the way along the 6-yard line, but Kanji with time to bring it away from Manchester City into Grealish. With those socks rolled down, it's been shot by Decore. Grealish not at all happy with the challenge. It's a free kick almost right on the halfway line.
Lucky not to get a yellow card. I thought Decore was never going to get the ball. He lunges into the side of Grealish, takes his legs away from him.
He hasn't been particularly card happy, has he, Anthony Taylor?
It's definitely not been one of those aggressive fixtures, albeit so much at stake for both teams, because it was a big game for City as well. When you think about it, it's not.
He's only played 103 Premier League minutes, Calvin Phillips, since big money move from Leeds in the summer. The indications are that he will stay for next season. Maybe like Grealish, he might find it easier going in his second year, but there is an unwanted stat that follows him around. Manchester City yet to score a goal this season in the Premier League when Calvin Phillips has been on the pitch.
Oh, they can stick those ones as well, can't they? It's like when Gareth Bale was at Tottenham.
29 games without a win or something like that. Didn't work out too badly for him in the end. Grealish goes down again under a challenge from Patterson. Wins a free kick, a wry smile from the England winger. We're into the last 90 seconds of normal time. It's Everton 0, Manchester City 3. 2 goal scorers.